I'll repeat it 1,000 times. I hope nobody else has to die for their political views. But I also think that the way that discourse happens, the way that a lot of political commentators engage with politics in a very mean-spirited way, I think it just riles up their fan base. I think it's very effective in driving people to be extremists.
My issue with people was celebrating his death, like championing pom-pom and that shit. That's the epitome of evil to me, right? That's
You think it's more evil to celebrate that man's death than it is for that man to advocate for the fact that children don't get meals?
What did he say?
but they can get milk.
I'm generally a fan of both of these channels, and in this debate, they had some solid points, some that Abba had compared to KnightTalk, and you could see that Abba was far more prepared in this debate with his talking points, though some of his talking points were definitely wrong, and same goes with Steve. So in this video, I'm going to break down each point that is correct and each point that is straight up wrong.
And you had some critiques for it. So yeah, let me know what you think we was getting wrong with regards to how we handled this Charlie Kirk situation.
Well, I want to keep what I felt was wrong towards the end, but leading up to that, I just think it's a differing in opinion.
All right, so this debate starts off with them giving their left versus right when it comes to political violence. Just straight off the bat, both of them have been a part of political violence. That is just the truth. Now, currently, there's been a wave in the left one that's happening, but in general, it's happened on both sides. It seems as if Steve viewed it as him using it as some form of whataboutism to detract from the tragedy that occurred to Charlie Kirk, when in reality, you could see that Abba was trying to give context and give a historical background of, hey, how did we get to this point as a society? Which is a fair point to say, but also on Steve's part, this death hit many people in a different way for the simple fact that it was globally seen and very, very visceral. And of course, the morality of the other deaths that happened on the left side or the right side in different moments were very severe, but this one really struck a nerve because how horrible it was. Like, I'm telling you, if you watched it live and you saw that shot, it's something that you will not be able to forget for a long time. It was very tragic the way that Charlie got killed. What threw people a lot off was the response from the people who enjoyed this, who celebrated. It was very tragic to see how rotten people can be to celebrate such a young man dying in such a tragic fashion.
Gone. I saw the video before they even put out the confirmation. There was no chance that he made it through that. This wasn't the one we were hoping for, but a welcome surprise.
Yo, they got Charlie Kirk, bro. I've never been happier.
Never believe the reason I'm smiling. And it has nothing to do with Charlie Kirk. Nothing to do with Charlie Kirk.
The best part of this whole goddamn thing is that he is not martyr material, so his death will mean nothing. It will activate no one. It will impact few. It's just great.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
To be very honest, many people on the left did also condemn this. Especially big name streamers on the left did condemn this, and what they did was right. Because if this happened on the left, I would expect the right to do the exact same thing. And it's good that enough good amount of people did call it out as wrong, and there's no place for that. But the tragic part where there are many people on TikTok and on Blue Sky who rejoiced in this madness, and that to me is inexcusable and disgusting.
Next! Let's get to the meat and the potatoes now, man, because do you feel like you manufactured a narrative on Kirk by showing those those snips of him in your video?
So just for the viewer, there's a clip that we played, maybe 15 seconds of Kirk on a Jubilee panel. He's talking to somebody. This is a panel about
abortion.
Okay, it was about abortion.
Well,
right?
that one, you put 3 videos
and Kirk is a very Christian, self-proclaimed Christian. Everybody knows this about him. So in that clip, the woman is asking him a hypothetical where he says, if your 10-year-old daughter was raped, okay, would you force her to keep the child? Is that a fair assessment of the clip?
Yeah.
And then
He
Kirk
said,
says
yes,
yes.
the baby will have the baby, or my girl will have the child.
Okay, and then you said that we were kind of dishonest with how we did that, that we clipped him out of context, and then we put our own context, right?
No, I'm not saying you put your own context. You didn't put the entire context. Like you said,
Okay.
you led into it by saying, you said, I think I'm not going to speak. I'm going to recite you verbatim, but it was essentially, I think that Kirk has said some disgusting things as well, and then you played
Yes,
these three
I played
videos.
that clip. Yeah, so
Yeah.
let's just talk about the first clip, because I remember you taking that first clip and being really shocked. I think
Now we hit the anti-abortion arc of this debate. And I can tell you that that whole debate that is happening in this society stems from one singular point. When do you believe life starts? Wherever you land on that is going to determine if you're anti-abortion or pro-abortion. Me and most scientists, it has been agreed that life does start at conception. If you disagree with that, I'm just going to tell you right now that is not based in science at all. To believe that life starts once you get blasted out of your mom's cooch is absurd. And if you believe that, you're just not believing in the science. And if you don't believe it's at conception, then you're just going to pick some arbitrary timeline within the pregnancy to say, hey, this is when life starts. And it might be, hey, it's once we detect a heartbeat. Though you'll have to know that there are many abortions that happen after a heartbeat is detected. So then how do you view it when you see someone is having an abortion at the 5th month or the 6th month? How do you deal with that? If your response is my body, my choice, how do you deal with the separate body that's in your body? Does that body have a right to life? That's the whole debate right there. And when you have that belief, it can lead you down to certain decisions that some may view as extreme. And in this debate, it is brought up through rape. And for me personally, I believe in the exception for rape, but I can understand the people that don't have that same belief, because to them, ending the pregnancy does not absolve the crime. It doesn't take away the pain. To them, all it did was remove a life. And to be fair, I do understand the opposite of that. It's fetus fetus, because they feel that that is such an extreme action that was done to the person that they're okay with a life being ended because of that. Now, some of them do the whole cope game where it's like, well, it's not a life. And to me, that is just straight up bullshit. And if you're the type of person that believes it, please let me know in the comments and we can discuss it. But overall, I do believe that that is a very weak stance. It's a life that you're just choosing to take. Just accept it and own it. It's very apparent in this debate that Abba is of the yeetus fetus mindset. So with that mindset, he didn't want to add within the clip of Charlie Kirk explaining his stance to the person in the Jubilee debate of why he would allow or be okay with his hypothetical 10-year-old child not having an abortion after being raped. I believe that it's possible that Abba didn't include it in the video because he doesn't want his audience to be exposed to that thought process and just wants to label Charlie as a monster for having that viewpoint, when in actuality, it's not really a monster viewpoint. It's just someone who holds fast in their conviction that can lead to an outcome that people can view as extreme, but does make logical sense if you truly have that conviction of thought. And again, that's not even fully based in religion. It can just be, hey, I see this as a life that is still worthy of protection and being, alive. There are many people who are a product of such a horrible crime Are we going to say all those people didn't deserve to live because of the horrible act of their mother or father? It is a true moral conundrum if you actually give it thought. And to add to that, most abortions have nothing to do with that. The vast majority of it is basically people trying to erase a mistake. That's just the real truth. I personally, in my own life, have met a person who's had 6 abortions. And it's disgusting to me. It's just horrible.
They didn't do anything wrong. I can't. Why don't you wake up? You're hurting people. What have they done to you? I can't let you take your unhappiness out on other people anymore.
What are you talking about? I kill when I want. The weak die and the strong survive.
Probably one of the wilder clips. A young man goes up to Charlie Kirk during that debate and he says to him, "Hey, what do you think about school lunches for kids?" And Charlie laughs him. He says, "There's no starvation in America. We have an obesity problem. Nobody here is going without food." And then you agreed with him. You said there's no starvation in America. Go get food stamps. You can get food at churches. There's no reason to starve. Do you remember that?
Yeah, there's no reason to starve in America. It's like 1% of households have like I guess, technically a hunger issue, bro. But people are not starving to death in America, bro. Motherfuckers are fat as hell. That's a fact.
Okay. And see, this is the problem I have with like people who are pro-life, and not you specifically, but people like Charlie Kirk. They're so obsessed with keeping fetuses alive, they pretend it's like this big virtue. And then when a child is born, they're like, "Fuck you, your parents take care of you." It's actually probably one of the most hypocritical, and this is why I think Charlie Kirk is probably a shitty person to me, is that he spent all this time being anti-abortion, but when it comes to every government initiative that's meant to protect kids and keep them good, he was always against it. And to me, it's like, what's the fucking point of keeping this fetus alive if when it comes out, you're like, "Yo, fuck you, kid." And that's what he did.
He
said, like,
he said, "Fuck you, kid"?
No, he didn't, but he might as well have when he's constantly championing everything that's anti-public sector, or sorry, government involved, taking care of kids. Like even you saying there's no starvation is like so disingenuous. If you just Google it, there's like so many kids today here in America. You can look it up, the statistics, that have malnutrition, that have food scarcity, that have all these problems. It stunts their growth. It fucks them up in terms of their academic success. And for you guys to sit there and think that food lunches for kids is a crazy idea and parents should take care of them. Some parents are dog shit. Some parents don't take care of their kids. And so that's why these school lunches happen, so that kids who go to school get a meal. But people like Charlie Kirk, and then you did the same thing, are like, "Oh, the parents take care of it." That's fucking stupid. And I'm like, do you guys even Google this stuff? Do you guys even look into it? But you speak confidently against this stuff that's hurting hundreds and thousands of kids. And I'm like, I don't get it.
I'll ask you a question. Which one is higher, the amount of abortions in America or the amount of starving children in America?
The amount of starving kids in America.
It's amazing. You are 100% wrong.
That's cap. That's cap.
That's cap? Did you Google it? Did you Google it?
I don't need to Google it, but
you don't need facts. But you know what? Facts don't care about how you feel about it. I need you to Google it.
Okay, I'll Google it. Somebody Google it in the chat, bro. But
okay.
Now this is Abba's big moment where he was so confident but so wrong at the same time. His belief that there are more people in the USA, especially children, that are starving than there are abortions. And with that confidence, if you do any research, you will find out that he was absolutely, positively wrong. Because the only way for him to be right is to change the definition of what is starving. He might be saying, hey, someone who is food insecure or someone who may be malnourished, but that is not the exact same thing as starvation. Absolute starvation. That is not occurring in the United States of America. That is exceptionally rare, to the point where it's tracked almost on a case-by-case basis because it's super rare. Like in the case of child neglect fatalities, pretty much. It's a very deceptive tactic if someone's going to make very low food security equal or equivalent to starvation. It's not at all. Now we're segueing into bad parenting and shitty parents. And I know that the government can sometimes be the solution to problems.
It's never too early to learn that the government is a greedy piglet that suckles on a taxpayer's teat until they have sore, chapped nipples.
People have this idea that social programs will always be necessary because without them, then kids will starve and die. It's just them fear-mongering, and it is not the end-all be-all. It really isn't. And anyone who simplifies it to that extent, they have a talking point that they have been given or they have gotten to, and they're just disseminating it back to you. But they're not really thinking critically about all the plethora of options that exist out here in the world for needy children and shitty parents. There's a lot of things out there. And Abba alluding to Charlie Kirk wanting to see starving children or advocating somewhat for that is highly disingenuous and somewhat of a dick move. And if he were to really give it any deep thought, he would realize, yeah, he's being kind of sensational and extreme. I believe in the good old USA, if there's a child who is going through absolute starvation, the parents should not have custody of that child. They have truly failed and are not able or capable of raising children, and their children should be taken away. Simple. And they could be put in a foster or adoption, and hopefully they meet a better family, because clearly being under that parent who isn't capable of raising that child, they shouldn't be kept there at all. And we don't need to put a band-aid over that. They just need to be taken away from those parents who are irresponsible and cannot afford or be able to take care of them. And it seems throughout this debate that Steve didn't have the vocabulary or the ability to be able to speak to that point. And that what made it look like Apple was dog walking him. It looks like that because he didn't know how to convey himself properly enough. The final point of good and evil, all I can say on this is it is annoying when I see in society where people don't like the word evil. They make it seem as if it is something that is mystical when it's not, and they always try to scapegoat into mental health, or it's just they've gone through horrible circumstances. There are certain people where they're just straight up evil. They want to see harm. They don't care about the harm that's happening to others, and they want to inflict harm on other people. And it's that simple. You can try to explain it away, you can try to diagnose it away, but you have to come to grasp that there are people like that in this world. And until people do that, they're always going to keep trying to scapegoat other things to explain away evil actions. Now, is it okay to just dehumanize people and just label them as evil because you're too lazy to understand their stance? Sure, that's bad. But we also have to be able to call a spade a spade. And it's annoying to see people that just can't bring themselves to that because it just makes them feel uncomfortable. But overall, that's it for this video. Overall, I will also say it looks like Apple won this debate by appearance, though by substance, I'll say it's a tie because Steve did have some solid points, but didn't know how to convey it properly enough. And looking forward to another debate that Abba can do with someone else, because at the end of the day, I like both channels and will continue to watch them both. So like and subscribe and comment if you disagree with anything I said. See you in the next.